Geocon report 0654 Zulu time. Taking a look at this map here, we can see 17 different countries that have been violated by Russian drones. Over 145 drone incidents since the start of the war, or special military operation, if that's what you want to call it if you live in Russia. But these drone operations performed by the Russian Federation are more than just a mistake. I remember when the first one happened, NATO's response was nothing. Oh, it was a mistake. It's just overshooting from the war in Ukraine. But now with over 145 incidents, and NATO is just barely shooting them down. Denmark hasn't done much, but the Netherlands recently had a serious issue and they just fired at it and never recovered the drone. With a lot of these incidences with these drones, the Russian Federation is really probing NATO. And as I'm looking at this map, I'm looking over here at France and I'm thinking, has France had a drone incident? Don't think so. If I'm wrong, let me know. But just looking at this and also looking at France's stronger responses towards the Kremlin and stuff like that. Same with the UK. This might just be out of range, but I mean, it doesn't seem too far-fetched if they're already all the way up to the Netherlands over here. But these countries have given stronger responses to the Russian Federation, and does that have a key in why they haven't had these drone incidents? I don't know. I mean, Poland has been pretty strong in their responses. Germany, I mean, this one hasn't had too many, but Poland like 25 plus, I think. And Moldova, I know, is not NATO, but this one is a pretty serious one for their sake, because with these regions being Russian occupied and Moldova also part of that territory that I'm sure Russia would love to have, like the Soviet Union. These guys are getting a lot of their drone incursions is a pretty big deal for them, but I do believe France has some type of military allegiance with Moldova. But each time a drone comes into one of these countries, it's for a reason. The Russian Federation is not just going to waste something like a Shahed drone. They haven't been armed, I believe, when they do these incursions. Most of the time, the recent harassing has been with small drones, but these Shaheds have played a part, and they sure freaked out NATO. But NATO is very scared, honestly, to interact with these things, even in their own airspace. And each time one of these drones enters these territories, they are gaining information, such as radar response, NATO response time, And I think the Russian Federation is honestly learning that the NATO response time is slow because Romania 3 hours in their airspace, and that was just today. And then their response is weak, just shooting down potential like armed Shahed drones. And then they're saying, hey, don't let this happen again. So we got response time, and radar. Russia is testing their radar as well. And clearly, they had this drone in Romania for 3 hours. It's kind of ridiculous. And I remember there was one, well, it was one of the Baltic countries. In Lithuania, they had one headed towards the capital here. Incident in Lithuania, July 2025. A Russian drone was spotted near the capital, causing alarm and leading to a local emergency declaration in Lithuania. Officials expressed concern about the nation's readiness and wrote to NATO, requesting assistance. NATO response. The repeated incursions have led to heightened alert levels within NATO and prompt discussions about improving air defense against drones, which are seen as a growing challenge. This is another example of the Russians probing these NATO countries. Entered its airspace without permission Friday and stayed there for 12 minutes. The foreign ministry said it happened just over a week after NATO planes downed Russian drones over Poland. Yeah, that is crazy right here. 12 minutes. I believe they were armed for air-to-air missiles, is what they had. The Russian MiGs. With examples like this Russian MiG-31 fighter over Estonian airspace for 12 minutes, this is a wonderful example of how things like this and the drones are no accident. And NATO's response. Italian F-35s operating as part of NATO Baltic Air policing mission from an airbase in Estonia were scrambled to intercept the Russian jets. And they just turned them away. Pretty sure over in Turkey, maybe 2012, there was an incident with a Russian MiG, and Turkey handled it. 2015, not 2012. 2015 Russian Su-24 shot down. Let's see, how long were they in Turkish airspace? 17 seconds after being warned to change its... Wow. Fatalities 1. Yeah, this incident here in 2015 with Turkey and Russia is an example of what could happen. And also, Russia hasn't been up in their airspace. On November 24th, 2015, as it was returning to the airbase, a Russian Su-24 aircraft with tail number 83 white and registration number was shot down near the Syrian-Turkish border by a missile from a patrolling Turkish Air Force F-16. Later analysis suggests that the radar-guided medium-range missile was fired from between 14 and 19 kilometers. Reported that the Su-24s were on their way to strike Syrian Turkmen targets. Taken together, these drone incursions represent the tempo of a war that's no longer confined to Ukraine. They map NATO's reactions, measure its tolerance, and probe its defenses. And until the wider conflict stabilizes, these incursions will continue to shape the strategic landscape of Europe.